Hey there, Dungeon Acid, doing another D&D vlog. Today I want to talk about alignments. Um, it's kind of a, you know, I don't know, controversial topic, perhaps. Not really, but in D&D it is kind of a yes or no for many DMs as to whether or not they like alignment. Of course, most people are familiar with alignments through um, the alignment memes that show the lawful neutral, lawful good, lawful chaotic good, everything for a bunch of different franchises. I mean, there are a bunch of different types of that meme, and it is a funny view um, viewer, like some sort of a device from which to look at different franchises and different bits of pop culture and to make certain things fit or to view things through that lens, the lens of alignments. But how necessary is it? And how correct is it? Because as everyone watching this video, I assume, lives in the real world, and in the real world there is moral ambiguity. There's people change. There are consequences to actions that are unforeseen. There are things that one can argue are for the greater good, but then again, like where does ethics and morality break down and come into play when the rubber meets the road in real life circumstances? And if you've ever taken an ethics class, there's been tons of study on all of this, and thought experiments, all sorts of thought and papers and research and books written on how to be a moral person, what is morality, how to live an ethical life, and it really does go a lot deeper than just I'm lawful good. Well, I'm chaotic evil, right? Everyone's lawful good until you encounter a morally gray situation in which you are trying to decide between saving someone you love or saving 100 people, something like that. So alignments, how do we implement them in D&D? Should we implement them at all? I mean, obviously tons of DMs just say no alignment. I mean, your character does what you think your character would do, but I don't want you to feel fisted by these arbitrary kind of choices. But then again, on the pro alignment side, they're a great shorthand for what would my character do. They're a great shorthand for describing a character's values in a quick, 2-letter summary, right? And how they would act. And sometimes, especially for people who perhaps play a lot of Adventure League or play a lot of games with strangers that are one-offs, right? That you're not in a specific group for a long period of time, where you all get to know not only the person you're playing with, but their character and what their character would do, and get to build those kind of backstories and moral histories together. When you don't have that, alignments work as a great shorthand, because you can be like, hey, I'm playing this kind of character and he is chaotic good, or he is neutral, or he is lawful neutral. And it's a great way also for DMs to quickly hand wave and say, hey, I don't want any neutral evil, chaotic evil characters in my game. As a great way to be like, hey, this is the kind of character actions that I want to avoid, and without having to go into a whole list of I don't want characters to just be total sadists. I don't want characters to do horrifically evil things to the NPCs that would make other players at the table uncomfortable. These types of kind of hard questions, you don't have to have that conversation if you're using alignment, because you can just say, I don't want chaotic evil characters in my game. And you can see I left out lawful evil, because to a certain extent, lawful evil characters can play with other characters, because that lawful side means that, no, I have my own set of principles, I have my own set of rules that I will follow. It's just that I also don't care about your morality and your livelihood. I only care about me, and that type of thing. So what are the alignments? What do they represent? In my opinion, how useful are they? I think we should start by taking a look at what are the alignments, right? This is my little... if you picked up the Ravnica book, he's the Krasis 2 or something, but if you play Magic, you know him as the Galloping Lizarog. And oh, what a cool mini. I'm so happy to have him. Anyway, all right. So, of course, you have your two axes. You have your good and... oh, actually, before I start, at the end of this video, I will tell you how I like to do alignments, which is outside of this. Stay for that part because I really think it's actually a better version of alignments. But anyway, that is neither here nor there. Start out with, what are the alignments? You have the two axes, you have good and evil, and you have law and chaos, right? So where you stand on that kind of quadrants, or if you're in the middle, helps define how your character acts, what they do when they're faced with difficult choices, and how they respond to the NPCs that the Game Master has created in your world. So at the top, of course, we have lawful good. Lawful good I define as righteous, idealistic, but authoritarian, right? So they are idealistic in that they really do believe in the common good. I want good for everyone. I want to help people when I can. I want to follow the rules, but I want that because I think it will enhance the most good for the most number of people. So you do have that righteousness, but with that, you also have the kind of self-importance and perhaps the authoritarian nature of like, hey, we should listen to the people who give us orders. They're in charge for a reason. Not really questioning like if they should be in charge, like questioning the morality of the people giving the orders. It's like, hey, they're giving orders. This is this is the law. We shouldn't break the law. And that self-importance can come from being like, I'm lawful good. I'm going to get in your business. I'm going to tell you what we should do. You can't do that because that's against the rules. I don't think you should do this because X, Y, Z. So lawful good will and should, if they're playing it right, be a bit of a busybody because if they are in a party with people who are not lawful good or are not lawful, at least. But really, or good. Because lawful good will find fault with the chaotic good character and with the lawful evil character because they're like, hey, wait, no, we should be good. You can't do evil things. I mean, I like that you have your own set of principles and that, we're going to work within the law, but we should do good. Or, hey, I'm glad that you're doing good, but let's work within the law. We don't want to be renegades here. So that's lawful good. On the opposite end of that good spectrum, you have, of course, chaotic good. I describe chaotic good as being passionate, as being considerate, but as being independent. So a chaotic good character is good. They want good things for people. They believe in the most good for the most people as well. But the view of how they get to that is different from the lawful good character. They believe in independence. They believe in freedom. They believe in protecting their own liberty and protecting the liberty of others. A chaotic good character, will say, hey, stop imposing your will upon me. I need my freedom to live my best life. But if they come across, a band of goblins who are being mistreated by some, Dread Knight overlord, they're going to be like, hey, we should kill the overlord. He's just, abusing these goblins, and they have a right to live their life as well. So a chaotic good character is one of my favorites to play. And it's really the Rage Against the Machine style renegade, right? You are fighting for good, you're fighting for justice for all, but you're going to do it in a chaotic way, and you don't care about breaking the rules because the rules were made by corrupt people anyway, right? So, there's a great quote as one of the ideals, I think, in the Player's Handbook that's like, chains were meant to be broken. And that is for sure a chaotic good character's creed. And somewhere between those two, the lawful good and the chaotic good, you have neutral good. I describe neutral good characters as being friendly, good-hearted, and kind. A neutral good character just as good. They want to help people. They want to be nice. They probably shy away from conflict with people because they really don't want to hurt people's feelings. They are, they want to follow the rules when possible, like a lawful good character, but they're not tied to the rules. And when the rules make them do something for which they would be uncomfortable, they'd be fine with breaking the rules. So a neutral good character is your average run-of-the-mill, I'm a good guy, right? I'm not wild and rambunctious, but I'm not a total rule follower either. I'm in the middle, and I just overall want to be kind to people. So that's how I define neutral good. So going down to the neutral um, section of the morality scale, we have lawful neutral, neutral, and true neutral, and chaotic neutral. Let's start with lawful neutral. So lawful neutral I define as traditionalist, as logical, and as collectivist. Excuse me. So a lawful neutral character really cares about the rules. They believe in working together and obeying the rules of society, not for the greater good of all people, but because it is the most logical outcome for a society to preserve itself. Um, I think of lawful neutral characters as the Romulans in Star Trek. They are, uh, they might not view a good decision or something, a decision that creates good for its creation of good, but rather for its preservation of a society or its protection of social norms. That's the part that they're like, well, we need to do it this way because not because like it's great that it helps people, but the better reason to do it is because it's the most logical, to help the most people rather than create the most good for the most people. And so that lawful neutral character is an interesting one to play, and they're not, troubled by the suffering of those who would break the law or those who would break from the collection. A lawful neutral character is not good, right? They're neutral. So if there is a group of insurgents that are like outcast from society and who attack the lawful neutral character society, and then trouble befalls those insurgents, the lawful neutral character does not care about their plight. They're like, well, that's their fault for not following within the the greater society as a whole. They aren't strong enough as their own society to protect themselves, and that's their own fault. On the other side of the neutral morality spectrum, we have chaotic neutral. Chaotic neutral characters are sometimes very, I don't know, interesting. They're interesting as a DM to watch unfold. I can understand players who don't like playing with chaotic neutral characters. I describe chaotic neutral characters as fun, reckless, and depraved. Chaotic neutral characters are not good, but they're not evil. They're just chaotic, right? They'll do some good if they feel like it. They'll do some evil if they feel like it. They'll do anything if they feel like it. They are the embodiment of the id, to my mind, and are driven only by their severe individualism and severe desire to be free and wild. And reckless. So chaotic neutral characters can be fun. And in the middle between the lawful neutral and the chaotic neutral, we have true neutral. Now, there is a debate about true neutral. I don't know how big of a debate it is because I don't know if anyone agrees with me. But a lot of people view true neutral as the meditative monk who is neither, who has become completely unattached from desire. I think this is a very limited view of what true neutral is, and I could see a true neutral character being that, like someone who is like meditated their way to pure unattachment, and they're not attached in any way to the mortal world, and they are basically like a walking Xanax, right? But how I view true neutral is they're average. They're average, even-handed, but they're self-interested. They're someone who could really go any way. They haven't given much thought to where they lie on the neutral or on the morality scale and the law versus chaos scale. They could go to any side, barring what drives them for their own self-interest. So like, hey, whoever is feeding me at the time, right? Wherever I'm getting my bread, that's the kind of the morals that I will assimilate into. That's how I view true neutral, is like I'm just here to get by, and I don't really think about the moral implications of what I do, and I don't really think about the society as a whole. Like I'm fine if society, people breaking the law, as long as it doesn't affect me. So that's how I view true neutral. Finally, we'll get down to the bottom rank. We have lawful evil, neutral evil, chaotic evil, right? This is where you get a lot of DMs saying, no, I don't want characters of this type. And the reason is because of the E part in it, the evil part. And that is because evil characters are going to do evil things. And evil things are unsightly. Typically, the average D&D game is meant to be about heroes doing heroic things, saving people. Of course, you can run any type of game you want. You can run a game of all evil characters, and that has a certain appeal. I would just recommend having a kind of frank talk about what lines people draw at, because you don't want creepy people who just want to live out their creepy fantasies through D&D. And when you get to the evil part, that can sometimes come out. But I have played evil characters in the past, and I do defend people who want to play them because there is a cool aspect of playing that. Like, who doesn't look at Darth Vader on occasion and go like that dude is dark and cool, and he's got a cool suit, he's got a red lightsaber, he's powerful in the Force, and he, there definitely is an allure to playing a character of that type. But really, that comes, in my mind, to playing lawful evil characters. So I'll start with that. I view lawful evil characters as manipulative, psychopathic, and predatorial. But notice that none of those things preclude working with others. You can be manipulative and work with others. In fact, it's probably necessary if you're manipulative to work with others. So a lawful evil character has reason to be with a party. It's just that in their mind, they might be looking at the party and be like, yes, these are people I'm manipulating. These are people who are powerful and can help me get to my end. If they die along the way, who cares? That's better off for me anyway. But they're useful to me now, and so I will do my best to infiltrate this group or to get them to follow, to do my own thing. A character might be secretly lawful evil the entire time and no one knows. If you're going after, let's say, the One Ring of Lord of the Rings, right? You're going after a magical item like that, and this character who's secretly lawful evil is pretending to be good. They're like, yeah, guys, we got to go get that ring to destroy it. Yeah, I'm totally about destroying it in the fires of Mordor. But as soon as you get it, they're like, grab the ring, I'm out of here. Bye, guys. Yep, that was right. And then the DM could say, okay, well, your character now becomes the main villain of the game, and you get to roll up a new character until a time in which it becomes easy for your character to run with others. And you could plan that with the DM ahead of time and make it just epic. But a manipulative character who doesn't value the lives of others, none of that means you can't work with others. It just means that you have to do it in a very special, specific way that can be very fun to roleplay. All right, on the opposite end, you have, of course, chaotic evil. Chaotic evil characters are pretty much the epitome of murder hoboism, right? People view them as just like, why would you roll a character like this? You're just going to cause problems for the group. It's not fun to play with you. But I don't know. Well, let's see. What I describe chaotic evil characters as is hedonistic, sadistic, and vicious. A lot of that does preclude working with others. But not necessarily. If there is something in the plot or something within the dynamic of your party that prevents you as a chaotic evil character from exacting those qualities out on your fellow party members, it can be done, right? And so the chaotic part and the evil part, you have no holds bar. You are wild. You will, you will not restrain yourself. If someone disrespects you, you might just like attack them on sight. That kind of behavior can derail a party. But if you rein it in and be like, I'm chaotic evil, but I have an internal monologue of like, and I try to hold myself to a stronger standard, but sometimes it gets through and I just lose it. I don't know. Something like that. Neutral evil, of course, is between those two. I describe neutral evil as opportunistic, uncaring, and antisocial. The neutral evil, to me, is the darker version of the true neutral. Whereas the true neutral is just self-interested and like, hey, I'll just go along to get along. the neutral evil is specifically out to put one over on other people. The neutral evil person thinks the world is made up of people who are just hurting others, and the only way to survive is for me to be better at hurting you than you are at hurting me. And so I'm going to be literally antisocial. I don't like people. Um, and I will. It doesn't mean you're violent against people. It's just like you don't like anyone. You keep everyone at arm's reach. You don't like spending time with people. You don't have relationships. You don't form those type of relationships. You're uncaring. That goes along with that. You're opportunistic. You are like, if there's a way for me to get one over on you, I will, because according to the neutral evil character, because you would do the same to me. Neutral evil characters are great mid-level villains, like the underboss, like not the big bad guy, but the guys working for the big bad guy. The neutral, and because there is kind of an element of like, hey, you can understand the plight of a neutral evil character because perhaps they've just been hurt enough that they're this broken person, right? That you could perhaps save them. That they're not capital E evil like the crazy necromancer who's like, I'm gonna kill everyone in the world because I'm crazy and evil. The neutral evil character is the world is gross, and in order to survive, I have to be gross. And so that's my view on neutral evil anyway. So those are the 6 alignments in normal D&D. Should we use them? Are they useful? Well, yes, they are useful in a certain type of game. They are not something that you should feel forced into using, though. As a DM, especially for new DMs, do not feel like you have to use them at all. Because it can be an easy way for players to start be like, well, that character wouldn't do that because he's lawful evil, or he's neutral good, or she's lawful neutral. It's like, look, these are the situations. People don't think in real life about what their alignment is before they make a decision. They look at the context of the decision and then make it, and sometimes regret what they've done. Right? There can be a character who made a mistake and feels bad about it. That doesn't mean their alignment should change because they made one, tiny mistake. So if you are running a lot of moral ambiguity, interesting questions, which is something I like to do, it might not be a system you want to utilize because it's just a tacked on and isn't worth it anyway. If you're running a lot of one-shots with people who are new and just introducing their characters for the first time and they're going to play once and then get going, perhaps use it. Think about all right, if you had to pick an alignment, what would your character's alignment be? That way people can know what to expect and can kind of role play properly off of each other's characters having just met. And as I promised, I was going to show the way I do alignment. Uno momento. So, here is my alignments, or here are. And the way I do alignment is rather than something you have to pick, and that are, a kind of grid that you place yourself on. Alignments are kind of like things you can choose to have, but you don't need to. So a character, if they want, can choose to have no alignments. That means you've not aligned to any specific, any one of these great big categories. You haven't decided yet, or you don't care enough for whatever reason. The alignments kind of function as tags, with certain ones precluding the other, but other than that, you can grab as many tags as you want as you choose to what forces your character aligns. So the ones I have are good, evil, nature, civilization, law, chaos, and power. Now the ones on the dotted line here across from one another preclude the others. So you can't take good and evil. You can't take civilization and nature. However, you could take evil, nature, and law. So in that case, you're trying to cause problems for people because you're evil. You're for nature, so perhaps you are like, a D&D version of like an eco-terrorist or something, where you're like, hey, the world should be there shouldn't be any civilization. I'm going to destroy the civilization by force to reclaim it for nature. And then you could choose, chaos would probably work better for that character, but if you were going to choose law, I have law here as you seek to follow and perhaps uphold the law. So you might be under the thrall or the command, or that character might be under the command of some ancient primordial or otherwise powerful nature deity that is like, according to my law, all these buildings must be destroyed, and so you're like a paladin of it or something. I don't know. Down here, of course, there's power. Power, as you'll notice, can be taken by anyone. It doesn't preclude anything. It is the allure of power you need. I have here, it says, you seek either monetary, political, military, or some other kind of power over those around you. And power, to me, really is what most people want to align themselves to when they are saying, I want to play an evil character. Because if you play, like, for instance, a character who is aligned with the law and power, you can play a corrupt official without having to be evil, right? You can play someone who seeks out power over others in any kind of alignment that you play, and it will still work. Because it doesn't mean you have to be evil. It doesn't mean when you're encountering people, you're going to like do the most evil thing you can think of. All it means is that, hey, I know that like as D&D characters normally, or heroes that want to help people, I'm going to turn that over on its head. I'm going to play a character who seeks power for me. I want the money. I want the weapons. I want political power. I want religious power. All of these things. And there's a character trying to attain power for themselves very rarely comes into conflict with their fellow players versus someone who says like, I'm a chaotic evil character, so it makes sense that my character would kill this guy. And they're like, don't start a fight here. We're outnumbered. Please don't attack him. They're like, sorry, I'm chaotic evil. It's what I would do. No, because if you're a power aligned character, you know that starting the fight here in this place in which you're outmatched will not yield you power. It will yield you death. So, but you would not be above taking that guy out back and killing him or slitting his throat and assuming his place or doing something devious to gain more power. Also, I like the nature and civilization ones because I feel that those who like want to play more of a druid character or a ranger who's like more of a protector of the wild, needs to be something for them other than good, because it's like, well, if let's say you're a druid who loves nature and wants the best for nature and the natural world around you, but you hate the humanoid species because of what they've done to nature. So how do you align that character as in normal D&D alignments? It's a little bit difficult because you're not evil. You want good for like all the woodland creatures and all the trees and all the sprites and all the fae. You want good things for them and you want to help them. But because of your history, you become jaded and you're like, burn down all the cities or something like that, right? Or maybe not that far, but you just dislike greatly civilization. So that's why I think nature and civilization make a good dynamic, because you can be like, yeah, I'm just nature aligned. I'm not good evil. I'm not law chaos. I'm just nature aligned. Or conversely, I'm civilization. I'm an explorer. I believe nature is meant to be conquered. I believe this place was given to us by the gods so that we could conquer it and take its resources, and civilization and stately progress, So that's my alignment system. Good, evil, nature, civilization, law, chaos, power. You choose up to as many as you want, as long as you don't have contradicting ones, or none. And give that a try if you want. I hope this video wasn't too rambly. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe. Dungeon Acid post D&D type videos, and thanks for watching. Roll on.